Peace. This is Swinzen 9 to Sage. Been different tonight. Something totally different than what I'm used to doing. And that's okay, right? Like, that's why we're here, to try new things. Definitely have the new YouTube channel. Definitely going to be inviting everybody to 9 Ether. Subscribe to 9 Ether and follow 9 to Sage on Facebook. You'll have the link in the description. It's the first time I've ever said that. But yeah, I've been working on a project for years now. It's finished. Got a new illustrator working on some things. But I'm definitely trying to get some feedback. This is a snippet from a comic called S.L.A.V.E. And that's an acronym, S.L.A.V.E. And we'll get into the meaning of that later. You'll probably pop up on the screen as we go along. So definitely just sit back and listen, and then I'm just going to try my best to try to read this to you guys. And then I'm definitely looking for some feedback as to what you think, whether you'd like to start from the beginning and see what's going on, or maybe there's some things you'd like to tweak from what you just heard. So just sit back and chill, and definitely let 9 know whether you think this is good or not. And so I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you being here. X-Men, 3 a.m. 2007. Wolverine's eyes open. All is not right in the mansion. Lawrence moves stealthily towards the quarters of Professor X. He pauses for a brief moment. He too can sense that others have been awakened by his movement. This does not matter to him in the least. However, having never failed in 100 years of combat missions, Lawrence sees this as more of an inconvenience than a threat. He is encountered by Jean Grey and Cyclops on the mansion grounds. Cyclops: "Can't sleep, huh, Lawrence?" Lawrence, without a word, with unearthly speed and quickness, assaults Jean Grey. He strikes her closed-fisted in the face. She is thrown to the floor unconscious. Cyclops fires a beam at the back of Lawrence, but he flips into the air, avoiding the beam, and lands directly behind Cyclops. One closed-fisted blow to his ribs, Cyclops falls to his knees, followed by a hard blow from his knee to the side of his head, and the fight is over. Lawrence runs to the next wing of the mansion. This is where out of a room steps the mighty Colossus. Colossus is the most impressive sight in full body armor. He moves to intercept Lawrence, who is hunched down in attack mode. Lawrence attempts to avoid the assault by Colossus by leaping to the side. He underestimated the agility of Colossus, and he is caught with one hand around his waist in midair and is thrown through the adjacent wall into the next room. Now on his knees, Lawrence unsheathes his metal shafts that protrude from the dorsum of his wrist. They jut over his hands, funneling into a sharp point at the end. They are not completely smooth, however. It appears they have a coarse texture to them. The funnels are roughly the length of his forearm. Colossus enters the room. Lawrence leaps and strikes him in the chest with his right shaft, cutting his armor superficially. Colossus stumbles into the adjacent wall. He looks down at his chest. He again attacks. Wide-eyed and surprised that more damage was not done, Lawrence leaps to the side, avoiding the destructive blow from Colossus, getting behind him, and he places his hand on his shoulder. Instantly, Colossus' mind is taken back to Russia, where he sees his sister being raped and brutalized by assailants. He is being held down in the snow and forced to watch as a helpless child, traumatized by this vision from his past, which to him seems as a present reality. He falls to his knees. His protective armor is now retracted. A superficial scratch is now seen on his chest from where Lawrence had laid a previous blow. Lawrence, recognizing the power of this giant mutant, jumps around in front of him while distracted. While deep in disturbed visions, Lawrence strikes him close-fisted in the face, knocking him out. The battle is now over. Lawrence begins to advance down the hallway cautiously towards the quarters of Professor Xavier. He hears in an adjacent hallway parallel to him running footsteps. He looks down the hallway while attempting to keep himself out of sight. Wolverine dashed past. Confident he was not seen, he moves on to the next hallway. He looks. He listens with his back pressed against the wall. Suddenly, Wolverine's claws pierced savagely through the wall, cutting through the back of Lawrence and through his abdomen. Lawrence's claws protrude through Lawrence's belly. Wolverine retracts his claws. He rips them from Lawrence's abdomen and tears through the walls, his claws exposed. Lawrence is ripped wide open and bleeding profusely. Wolverine, you think you can come here, get offered a warm bed, hot food, and people that actually give a spit about a stranger like you? And this is how you repay it? You injure my friends? If I didn't know any better, I'd think you were on the way to harm the best person I know. Somebody needs to teach you some manners, bub. Wolverine approaches Lawrence, who now kneels on the floor in front of him. Logan's claws are fully exposed. Lawrence's belly, which is smattered with blood and covered with a torn t-shirt, begins to heal. Sorry, bub. I haven't got time for your lessons today. Lawrence unsheathes his right shaft and pierces Wolverine's left eye. The sharp end of the spear comes completely through the back of Wolverine's leg. A grieving roar and howl is the effect of Wolverine's pain. Lawrence kicks him hard with the bottom of his feet. Wolverine smacks against the adjacent wall harshly and slumps to the ground. Lawrence jumps to his feet and begins to approach Professor X's study once again. He stops just for a moment to listen, and suddenly the claws of Wolverine jet through his back and ripping down to his abdomen once again. Won't get rid of me that easy, Bob. I see. Lawrence reaches down and grabs Wolverine's thigh, plunges his hand deep into the wound. Instantly, Wolverine's mind is forced back to his experiences of being impregnated with adamantium. This excites the harsh Wolverine. He slashes Lawrence with his claws through the abdomen, slashes him through the chest, growls like a wild beast. Almost overcome with pain and blood loss, Lawrence sweeps Wolverine deeper into his past occupation as secret agent, past his backdrop of what appears to be a European war theater, too much deeper, way into a past Logan was young, a past he has tried so hard to remember and forget. Here Lawrence unearths a horrific scene into a large master bedroom in a great house. Here young Logan watches as the man he knew as his father is brutally murdered with a shotgun. This scene is followed by his mother taking her own life with the same gun. Wolverine's claws retract out of Lawrence, out of his back. He falls to the floor in a fit of drastic spasms, and what appears to be the weeping of a child. Lawrence falls into the adjacent wall in awe of what he has just witnessed in Logan's mind. He thinks to himself, I normally would have healed by now. But those people, those visions, that place, that man. Lawrence for the first time is shaken by the images of his victim's past. He somehow knows he is connected to them. He gathers himself as he begins to heal. He moves to his primary destination, the quarters of Charles Xavier. This delay has allowed Storm, however, to arrive. She has reached the professor's quarters moments prior to Lawrence's arrival. He will not get through me, Professor. Storm, one of the more powerful X-Men, is not nearly as sure as she sounds. Sir Lawrence Boddington has handily incapacitated the most powerful X-Men, and now he is only meters from accomplishing his objective, which now seems obvious: the assassination of Dr. Charles Xavier. The thick wooden doors of his study are shattered into splinters. In an instant, there stands the daunting physique of Sir Lawrence Boddington. He steps through the entrance and witnesses Storm hovering right before him. But he is frozen. He's dumbfounded. He cannot move. He whispers, never in my life such... In that instant, Xavier advances out of the shadows from Lawrence's side and attacks him mentally. Inside of the mind of Lawrence Boddington, he hears, Lawrence, you seem to have a unique ability to unearth memories and display them if they are currently happening. I wonder how well you would fare if your past was laid so clearly and made displayed before you. Sir Lawrence Boddington. This work has been copywritten by 8 Minute Universe, Year 2012. Chapter 2. Lowndes County, Georgia, 1822. Wolf Creek Plantation. The professor has control of Lawrence's mind, as Lawrence would normally have control of others. The mind of Sir Lawrence Boddington is swiftly swept back through time, through brief images of him in a castle training with weapons, past him battling armed men in foreign lands, then further, sweeping him into serving tea to an obviously wealthy couple, seeming to pay him no mind. The professor pushes him further and further, much further into a past, where images scan across rolling fields, barns, stalks of corn and sugarcane. The scene finally stops at a gathering of black people, dressed in rags, and a beautiful girl at the center. Her hand is on the shoulder of a man. He seems to be in trance. She speaks. A warm blue glow flows over her body. The beautiful young girl. Your great-great-great-granddaddy was a shaman for a village. They digged out gold and diamond back in Mexico. He courted and married a young girl, and he was known as the finest cooks in the land. Woo-wee! Girl, I knew I loved to cook. He traded goods at the market. He traded with sellers at the beach, selling goods made in his village, and he sold to folks all over the world. A grizzly stout white man with outrageously unkempt whiskers rides intimidatingly close to the gathering on horseback. He appears to disapprove of this gathering. He strokes his whip and frowns at the gathering of slaves. Girlie, you best clear these niggas out of here. Y'all better get back to work. You know Master Bruce has company coming over here from overseas. He expects dinner be set before y'all gets to eat. And if you gonna bring that boy up to the house there, sir, you better keep some quiet as a mouse. Yes, sir. Wolf Creek Plantation, 1822. Plantation House. Master Bruce Howell. He's a grizzled, hairy man. He is an imposing figure with sharp teeth and sharp nails. He speaks with a grizzled voice, weathered in a way. So, how long are you on this trip, Eric? I hope not to be here any longer than 3 years. Once my business is concluded, I will not be likely here back for some time. The trip proves to be too much for Stephanie. How are we going to see your wife this evening? My apologies. She's feeling awful. Again. I will send her your love. Sarah walks to the table and begins serving soup. How are your boys, Bruce? They're coming along, it seems. Still a bit rough around the edges. Quickly changing the topic. Well, I'm hoping your trip is not all work-related this time. Sarah is placing bread on the table. The baby is heard crying from the kitchen, obviously disgruntled. Sarah! I'm sorry, sir. I just had no one to leave my baby with. Eric's wife, Mrs. Boddington. Oh, may I tend to the child? I just adore Negro babies. Well, of course, ma'am. If you're sure you don't mind. Oh, of course not. It's a child. It's my pleasure. Touching her on the shoulder when she passes into the kitchen. The baby ceases to cry, and we see Stephanie cuddling the child. Oh, aren't you just scrumptious? Aren't you just delicious? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I could just eat you entirely whole. We hear kissing from the kitchen. Sarah walks around the corner and pauses just for a moment to look at the woman holding her child, and returns to her chores of washing pots and pans and preparing food. Staring at the child intently. Your baby is so simply precious, absolutely delicious. I could just eat him. Thank you kindly, ma'am. You and the father must be so very proud. Yes, ma'am, yes. Stephanie Boddington leaves the kitchen. Sarah picks up the child and looks deeply into his eyes. She whispers, One day, you's gonna be a free and powerful man. You already reading what's in them books. You read and learn from things you see in more books. You's my treasure. You will not live like a slave like me, especially if I got anything to do about it. No, sir. The baby laughs. This is an 8-minute production, copyright written via 8-Minute Universe, 2012. Wolf Creek Plantation, 1825, the Plantation House. The English couple has come back to Master Bruce's huge planter home to say goodbye as they are on their return trip to England. The master is standing with Sarah at his side. Stephanie runs immediately to Sarah's child, who seems strangely unaged. My servant Sarah has asked time and time again and again if I might ask if her child might possibly come live and work for you in London as sort of an indentured worker until he is a man, and then may he be free of his obligations to you, Eric. She has great ambition for this child, and I don't mind telling you, the conception of this boy has created some unsavory controversy on my property. I would otherwise be hesitant to even bring this to a matter to your attention, and I apologize if this proposition is inappropriate. I see. This is a bit unexpected, and it sounds like a bit unfortunate. However, living in the States has truly enforced our position that life can be improved with a number of affordable servants. Prior to leaving London, Stephanie and I were considering attaining indentured one. Stephanie seems to enjoy the boy. It will need to be clear that he will have responsibilities as he matures in order to properly gain his freedom. Sarah understands that, and the child must learn his responsibilities with age. Well, I'll discuss this with Stephanie, and I will give you an answer in the morning. But I personally don't have any reservations about it. I'm sure he will be a model worker, just like his mother. Mr. Boddington smiles at Sarah. London, England, 1838. Boddington Upscale Manor Estate. A young, well-dressed Negro servant boy is going about his daily chores in a hurried fashion. He is making the beds, preparing the food, and scrubbing the floor. The boy is sweaty and visibly shaken. Mrs. Boddington, much older. Lawrence, you forgot to change the cat litter box again. And the milk you served us this morning was rancid. She is now much older. She is gray and looks quite haggard. Sorry, Mom. I'll get right to feeding the cats. I've already done it myself, Lawrence. Just try to get lunch right. Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Night falls and it is raining. Through the rain, you can hear yelling, which grows louder and louder. I don't know why we took you in the first place, Lawrence. We knew your people had a tendency toward laziness, and you fall right in that line. Yes, Lawrence. A waste. Simply a waste. I simply regret we ever brought you here from Georgia. London, England, 1842, Boddington Manor House. Lawrence has worked in the Boddington home for nearly 20 years now, yet he appears to have aged no more than 7 or 8 years at best. He is now pouring a reddish-brown liquid, laudanum, into a tall, slender glass. He is scooping what appears to be a white powder, cocaine, into a glass carefully, as to not spill a single drop. He carefully steers the drink. He steers so carefully not even to make the slender spoon hit the sides of the tall, small glass. Not to make any sound. He then puts the concoction on a small saucer and walks it down a long hallway. He enters a bedroom and walks slowly across the floor and up to a huge Victorian bed with the canopy and the curtain drawn closed. Ma'am? I have your medicine, Ma'am. The curtain opens. Mrs. Boddington lay in a sheer negligee. She writhes in agony on satin sheets, her sheer gown exposing her aging but tight body to the boy-faced attendant. She takes the drink from the tray and chugs it down. Now get me another. Lawrence quickly makes another drink, terrified to make any misstep. He returns. I'm ill with more medicine, man. What kept you, boy? You know I'm sick. I simply must have my medication. I need it. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Boddington snatches the drink this time, obviously already inebriated. She spills it all down her sheer nightgown. The sheer material, now wet, clings to her thin body. She is completely exposed before the boy-faced attendant. You bastard! You dirty little villain! You did that on purpose! No, ma'am. I didn't. I wouldn't. She looks down at her now wet sheer gown. Her nipples are incredibly erect. Oh, that's your game, eh? Soggy tits, yeah? Is that what you wanted? Pervert! You're a pervert, Lawrence! A dirty little pervert! That's what you are! A pervert! Oh, ma'am! No! Please, no! Cunt! Cunt! Little black slag! That's what you are! I'll cut off your black tallywhacker for this! She pulls out a long, slender metal rod that's sharpened at one end by her bed. She then points at a very small wooden box at the foot of her bed. She stumbles out of the bed and across the floor. She looks at Lawrence and speaks. You know what happens to bad little boys, don't you? Bad little bugger boys like you. Yes, ma'am. What do they get? They get the books. What? They get the books. They get the books. And you're lucky too. Because next time, it's off with your little black pecker. You dirty little nigger pervert. Look at you. Gawking at my soggy tits. She is now physically forcing Lawrence into this tiny box with her stick. The boy barely fits in, and Mrs. Boddington pokes his dark skin down into the box with her metal rod for him to fit in and her able to close the box all the way. Lawrence whimpers, but acquiesces to her sadistic command. There is no room in this box. His face is pressed against the lid. He cannot even open his eyes. He is packed in so tight. This has been a snippet of S.L.A.V.E, as written by 8 Minute Universe, copywritten by 8 Minute Universe in 2012, and narrated by 9 the Sage. Pays. This has been Swinzen 9 the Sage, the Simple Sage Universe, and the 8 Minute Universe. I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to your feedback. Join us on Facebook at 9 the Sage or Swinzen 9. Also subscribe to us at 9 Ether on YouTube. I absolutely enjoyed this. And again, I love you all.